Welcome back. You're watching Web TV. I'm your host, Terryanne, CHEBET, and this session is quite exciting, and I am looking forward to it. We're looking at sports and now how sports is fueling Africa's economy. I'd like to introduce my guests. On my right, Sinenjabulo Zungu Ntuli, I got it right, CEO of AmaZulu FC, the oldest football club in South Africa. Clare Akamanzi from NBA Africa, and Will Mbiakop, Executive Chairman, African Sports and Creative Institute. It's so nice to see you all, and I'm really looking forward to this, this conversation. I guess first things first, we're at the Africa CEO Forum. Where's the nexus of sport and all the conversations that are happening today and tomorrow? Will, let's start with you.
So you have to ask the question. I couldn't hear you.
You couldn't hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we are at the Africa CEO Forum.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about the nexus between sport and the conversations that we are having today and tomorrow. What are some of the things you expect, especially from a sports perspective?
Look, first of all, it's the first year that we're having a sports panel in the 12-year history of the CEO Forum. So that's amazing. It does mean something. It reflects on the major interest that we have from both public and private organizations into the industry of sports. 2 to 3% of the world GDP, amazing number of jobs creation opportunities for the continent, and beyond the pure GDP metrics, an opportunity for our continent to shine. We think of soft power, we're thinking of global influence. So really looking forward to it.
All right, thank you so much, Will. Claire, your expectations over the next few days, what are some of the topics that you hope will come out? What are some of the takeaways that you expect to have from an NBA Africa perspective?
Well, first of all, very happy to be here at the Africa CEO Forum. The conversations that are being held in this forum is reflecting on what should drive Africa's transformation. And that is something that we are all very committed to. As NBA Africa, we have put our skin in the game when it comes to betting on Africa's transformation. We are investing very seriously on the continent. We've opened offices in 5 countries. We are present on the ground, really promoting sports in these countries. And we have a league. And we are 3/4 way in the league. We have the finals coming up in Kigali on 24th of May next week for a week, finishing on 1st of June. Very exciting. I want to just encourage everybody that's watching, please come to the games, the finals in Kigali. But what my expectation is the continuous realization that if you're talking about economic development and economic transformation in Africa, you must include sports. Because sports for a long time has been viewed as a recreation, not as an economic priority. When you look at countries list their priorities, agriculture, manufacturing, ICT, digital, we actually want to see sports on that list because sports has a very strong capacity to convene different actors of the private sector and the economy to produce more productivity. So if you have a sports tournament, if you have a sports league, you actually are touching you're touching the media, you're touching ICT, you're touching food, you're touching drinks, you're touching transportation, you're consuming an ecosystem. And so today, I think we must take sports more seriously because in sports is going to be one of the solutions for Africa's transformation.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Claire. And of course, we're a prime exporter of sports talent. So that says a lot about the potential that
Without
Africa...
doing so much.
Exactly.
Now we're doing things deliberately on the continent. Imagine how much more talent we can actually unlock.
All right. Let's talk about football and AmaZulu. What brings you to the Africa CEO Forum? What are some of the things that you expect to take back home with you?
Firstly, thank you for having me here. It is such an honor. It's my first time attending this conference. So I think for me, I have a lot to learn. I think I can't agree more with what Claire has just said, that football and sports in general is a great influencer and has a great impact on the economy. And I think the sooner that government realizes that, all government really, from all continents, all countries, specifically in African countries, the better. We're not just adding to the numbers, but we're actually adding to the economy and the impact thereof. So for me, it's going to be important to have those conversations. I'd like to see conversations specifically about football and the impact that it has on the African economies.
Thank you, Zungu. Claire, let me come to you, and you've mentioned the league and the finals that's coming up in about another week or so. How's the league creating opportunities for young people? And what do you see as the potential of the league specifically in promoting sports, but also economic development through the activities that you're currently carrying out?
NBA Africa has invested in this league. It's called the Basketball Africa League. That happens every year. We are now in our 4th season, so we've been doing this coming to 4 years now. And the opportunity that BAL brings to the continent is huge. I just think that we've only been able to touch a surface of it, and the growth trajectory that is expected is huge. It's only honestly, it's almost limitless, but we have to build it, and we have to get more players into the system. Now, in terms of the opportunities that it brings, first of all, BAL being a tournament requires places to play. So already it's created demand for arenas and facilities to be built. We have Rwanda that built one, we have Dakar, we have a private one in South Africa that we play in, and in Egypt. I see more and more interest in building arenas. Just about 2 months ago, I was in Nigeria. A private investor in Nigeria was breaking ground to build a new arena. We know something is happening in Benin. We know discussions are happening in Uganda, Kenya. So BAL is creating the demand that actually we can consume these facilities if they're there, but they can be used for more than sports. The example that I like to refer to that I know very well is Rwanda. The arena hosts more than 200 events a year. Out of those, a small percentage is sports. But they have events that are in concerts. They have hackathons. They have gospel gatherings. So the facility can be used and monetized for many other things other than sports. So that's the first opportunity that it brings. The second opportunity that I'm also really proud to see evolve over the years is it's actually making the talent more professional. Because now you have a place to play. Previously, a few people could go to the NBA, EuroLeague, or somewhere if they could find their way. Now there's a clear pathway that NBA has created. We invest in grassroots basketball. We start with kids. We have our junior NBA league for kids in schools from the age of 6 upwards. We have the Basketball Without Borders. We have an NBA academy for kids that are talented in Senegal. Then they can go to the BAL. So just by creating these platforms, there's a very clear structure of talent to really go through and grow and play professional basketball. The third element also is the inspiration that BAL gives to local federations. There's nothing I like today like going to watch a local game, and then I find all these clubs and they're all being sponsored by companies in their region. Companies are seeing the value because we have shown that if you invest in basketball, it can actually take you to a clear league, and that league can actually, really be a continuous place to consume the talent. So I think overall the ecosystem is growing, it has become much better, but we're still playing in 4 countries. Imagine if we're playing in 30 countries, 40 countries, 50 countries. Imagine the economic output that BAL will give African countries. That is the ladder that we're climbing.
Wow. All right, thanks, Claire. Will, I want to come to you now. The sports and creative sectors are largely interconnected in many ways. How does your institution promote cross-sector collaboration to maximize the economic opportunities that Claire has just been talking about?
Yeah, thank you. This is a great question. I think, first of all, it's by our DNA. The name of our organization is the African Sports and Creative Institute. The second thing is, when you look at sports and the creative sectors, those are 2 major revenue streams. One is a $2 trillion business. That's the creative industry. And that means fashion, that means food, culture, art, movies, etc., etc. The world of sports is 2 to 3% of the world GDP. That's massive. When you look at them together, apart from each other, they're actually intertwined. And this shows in multiple aspects. Number one, the fan experience. When a sports fans go to a game, you will enjoy music. You will enjoy a cultural activity, which is dance show, for example, right? So the first things to remember is that those two sectors are intertwined in the fan experience, in gaming, another big business, a $31 billion business, in the content as well. So those two sectors are definitely intertwined. And what we do at the Institute is when we look at them, we don't look at them individually, but we look at them from a holistic standpoint. When we approach a sector, sports for example, we'll definitely plug in the revenue opportunities coming from the creative activities that you can plug into sports. So that's how we do it, and we apply it within our research, within the consulting work we would do for our clients.
All right.
I think one thing that I also want to emphasize is how BAL also unlocks opportunities for the creative sector. Every time we have our games, there's entertainment. So we actually hire, invite musicians that have new songs they want to release or popular songs that the fans like, and that's a platform for them to actually exercise their talent as well. And so the other aspect around sports and basketball is how it also really promotes the wider creative industry, as Will was alluding to.
Yeah.
And actually, sorry, just to complement on that, the great news is we see a surging interest from both public and private sector. IFC here, obviously, World Bank Group, Afrexim Bank. We are going to start working with the UN Economic Commission for Africa. As you know, they're hosting their Minister of Finance big meeting in a couple of months' time. And one of the prime objectives is actually to put the emphasis on investing in sports and creative. So we're going to help them with that as well, which is great.
Please influence South Africa to do the same.
South African?
I'm saying please influence South Africa to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, but South Africa, I love South African fans. So we started our Kalahari conference in South Africa. And for a long time, people say, oh, South Africa is about rugby, it's soccer, they don't really know basketball. But boy, our arena in Pretoria was so full. So many South Africans came, and they actually paid the highest average ticket price than anyone is paying on the continent. And then guess what I liked about them? I don't know if it's from the Vuvuzela days, but the fans were excited, happy, and they just make you feel like, yes, this is what they should be getting.
And we didn't even mention AmaPiano.
Yes.
AmaPiano, right?
Yes.
AmaPiano is one of the top 3 music downloaded on Spotify in the world. So that's quite amazing. AmaPiano is just amazing.
I mean, sports does bring people together, in more ways than has been given priority. I mean, if we took sports as seriously as we do when we're watching it, I think from an African perspective, it would have been so much further. Let's talk about impact and social development, and perhaps you can tell us from your point of view as AmaZulu, how would you measure the impact so far, and what sort of social development initiatives have you done as well?
Okay. So I think amongst other pillars, AmaZulu is centered around community. The community in which it is based, and the KZN community in South Africa at large. So we do not ignore the fact that whilst we are a football club primarily, but we are a community member. And we are therefore responsible, or should take responsibility in influencing, empowering, and being a catalyst of change within our community. And I think examples of that really, from an AmaZulu perspective, is we start internally. I think we all know that football players, I'll speak for South Africa, a lot of them don't complete high school, or they don't go beyond high school, so they don't have tertiary education. So we've taken it upon ourselves to educate not only just our youth, but as well as our professional players. And that far outlives their football careers. And of course, that has a ripple effect on their families and their communities. We also invest in our communities from a hygiene perspective as well as an education perspective. We do back-to-school campaigns, we do pad drives, and we also invest in our charities and homes within our communities. And I think that's very important. We don't take that lightly because these are the very communities that actually feed into our football club.
Okay. So I'm being motioned to wrap up, but I'm going to steal a minute or so just to give some final comments. And Claire, as you give your final comments, perhaps you can talk about some of the collaborations that have taken place with either public sector or private in your final comments. Let's start with Will.
If I had to wrap up, look, our organization, the African Sports and Creative Institute, we're all about sports and creative. We're trying to contribute to the growth of the market through three major vehicles. Number one, we scarce data. There's a data scarcity in the market. So we provide data through reports, books. Our latest report is called Africa Sports Industry Strengths in Numbers, because we do have numbers in Africa. So that's number one. Number two, we do training program. We're trying to develop a new generation of sports business leaders. And number three, we do events where we work, events and consulting where we work with major organizations to invest more into sports. Sports is an amazing vehicle for growth. And again, beyond the GDP metrics, beyond the economic impact, it's all about social impact and societal impact.
Thank you, Will. Claire?
Well, two key messages. One, we really want to take the message out there that sports is a business and that you can make money in sports and that there are lots of opportunities to make money in sports. And we're really encouraging investors and all partners to think about how they can be part of this big story of sports. The second message is there's a place for every sector in sports. So if you're a government, there is a space for you. We've seen that with Rwanda. BAL and NB Africa have a partnership with the Visit Rwanda Development Board, and that's why we're able to host our games here. That's one way the government participated, but also in building the arena. We have philanthropic work. If you care about society, communities, health, using sports to promote healthy living and healthy lifestyle, killing this whole problem we have today of NCDs. I think sports and basketball can be one way to do that. So philanthropy, there's gender empowerment, job creation, poverty alleviation. There's space for you there. Private sector investors, there's space for you to actually invest in clubs, in games, in all the sectors and services around sports, and you can make money out of that. So there's space for everyone to be part of this ecosystem that is sports, and I'm very excited about the future.
All right. Thank you so much to all of you for a wonderful conversation. Do you? No. Okay. For a wonderful conversation. We have been looking at sports and how sports can or is fueling Africa's economy. And I have been speaking with Sinenjabulo Zungu Ntuli, CEO of AmaZulu FC, Clare Akamanzi, CEO of NBA Africa, and Will Mbiakop, Executive Chairman, Africa's Sports and Creative Institute. It's bye for now. See you in a moment.